Okay, hello and welcome to a very special edition of our Honest Not Perfect podcast. We're here on site, it's day 3 at Source Fashion. I'm here with Christina Dean. Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Fabulous, thank you.
So you are the CEO of Redress and the R Collective. Could you give us a little bit of a background into who you are, how you've got to where you are today?
Yeah, well, apparently I'm a sustainable fashion advocate. I've been in the game for 20 years for all of my sins and my wrinkles. And so essentially I founded Redress, which is a non-profit working to accelerate circularity by educating designers and consumers. And that has an Asian focus. So that's Redress, the non-profit. And then I founded another business, the R Collective, which is a B2B that works with luxury fashion brands on their excess materials, mainly being very sensitive, IP sensitive, printed, check logoed, or finished stock. And we find recycling and reuse solutions for tricky excess material streams.
Okay, so you founded these at a time when I imagine this isn't really that mainstream. So, you know, waste-free design and the idea of kind of being a little bit more ethical and sustainable. And what kind of challenges do you come up against as that? And like, how did you have the motivation to kind of start these two amazing non-profits?
Okay, well, let's talk about motivation. I mean, I feel I'm really lucky because I'm very curious about the topic. So I find it extremely interesting. Nothing ever bores me about waste, about circularity, supply chain design, etc. So I'm very, very motivated. And I'm very also lucky that in the 20 years that I've been grappling with this complex topic of waste, well, on the bad side, we've got lots more waste that has been generated because of production, increasing consumption, global population, exports, the way the fashion industry has grown, exploded, and sort of like an octopus, the fashion industry has just exploded everywhere. So because of that, we got a lot more waste. So it's been a good time to be involved in waste because there's so much more of it. There's a lot more talk about how to solve the problem of waste. And of course, I say of course, but really we're doing a terrible job at actually decreasing waste generation. We're doing a terrible job really of increasing recycling, except for perhaps polyester. You know, we're seeing recycled polyester really much more hit the mainstream industry. But by and large of the entire fashion industry is doing really badly when it comes to recycling excess materials.
Why is that? Why do you think it is
Well, there's
doing
many
terribly?
reasons.
Yeah.
I mean, like, where is the waste? Is it post-consumer?
Yeah.
Is it pre-consumer? What is it? It's multiple components, multi-fibers, it's plastic, metals, everything that we're wearing. So it's the fiber composition, it's the location. And then the real problem is the technology to recycle all of these mixed materials. Is, certainly mechanical recycling. We can do that. You can chop anything up, really. However, obviously, as we know, mechanical recycling has massive limitations because it damages the feedstock. So now, of course, we've got all of these exciting chemical recycling startups. I mean, startup is a bit of a rude word for companies that have raised 100 million or whatever. But so we see chemical recycling as being this beautiful opportunity where could you just imagine that you could put chemicals on your clothes and all the fibers would come out just perfect. So it's great in a lab, and I know that of course there's big investment and there's incredibly brilliant people behind chemical recycling, and it's going to happen, I believe it. It's just not really happening fast enough. And I hate to be one of these people who complain about the speed of progression because we know it's difficult. But really what we need to see is scaling up of chemical recycling. And I don't see it being in the immediate tomorrow term as it relates to having multiple facilities in multiple regions in the world.
So it's an infrastructural thing, and is that also then backed by regulatory stuff and policy? Or
I mean, for sure, the moment you get legislative change, so too do you get investment flowing. So we've seen, like, in multiple jurisdictions, there's much talk and action when it comes to banning incineration and therefore promoting recycling, for example. So policy is extremely important, and it's definitely on the chopping board of multiple jurisdictions, but it's very complicated to put in a policy that will be enforceable and regulated and enforceable in a very fragmented industry that is the fashion supply chain. So we need legislation. It needs to be the right legislation, and it needs to be sort of sensitive to the parameters of the fashion industry. And when we get that put in place, which is obviously it's on the cards with EU legislation, we'll see more capital flow into businesses for sure.
You mentioned on the catwalk when you were talking to Rebecca Roy, you mentioned that a lot of the waste when it comes to creating a product comes from the design. And you also mentioned that design is quite an umbrella term for lots of different points within that supply chain. Where do you think, I mean, maybe this is a leading question, but really where should we be looking if we are looking in that umbrella term of design?
Of design materials.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many important things in this question, but I would say if you put a gun to my head and said, what is the most important criteria for sustainable design? I would say durability.
Okay.
And I'm not the only one. I don't own that opinion, let me tell you that. Meaning, we need to create products that are durable and that they last not just the first user and then the second and third, because we know that consumers can be quite fickle. They maybe don't want the product for a long time from a style, aesthetic point of view. So durability must be the most important thing of a product because that allows it to go through multiple cycles of multiple users, and then that's prolonging the use phase. So I would say when it comes to design, and then making something durable comes down to the material choice, composition, the construction, the trims, the fit, the care instructions, the aftercare, the repairability. All of these considerations actually come into durability.
And that's just not a priority, I guess, in a lot of fashion.
Well, it should be, obviously, but durability costs, babe. You don't get durable without putting more time and effort and better quality, better stitching, better trims, better fit, more time at the design stage, and all those sampling rounds to get a product right. It needs more time, and time is lacking in the supply chain, and indeed our own diaries. Like, everyone's starved for time right now. So therefore, I would just try to summarize it with durability being really important. But that, again, is an umbrella term for many things.
Yeah, it's so interesting having these conversations because there are lots of overlapping sentiments and themes, but it's just showing how intrinsic everything is and how enmeshed everything is. And it's really, you can't look at one thing only.
You cannot.
Even me asking this question, being like, trying to make you, say one thing is impossible.
Well, no, it's not impossible, really. I mean, our job as supposed experts is to try to boil down something complicated into something simple. So I'm going to go with durability. But I also want to add another thing, because that's what is the criteria for good design. And we're not unpicking that, but I just want to say one thing, which is also materiality, because the carbon, water, greenhouse gas, land use is baked at the fabric production stage. So if we want to talk about the planet, if we want to talk about all of this pollution that we're causing, what we have to talk about is the material responsibility. Once materials are made, we need to fight to keep them in use, because all of the hell and chaos has already been caused. By the time that piece of fabric comes out of the fabric mill, we've done it. And so for me, what I feel passionately about is making material production more sustainable through regenerative, low impact processes. So we get the materials low impact, and then let's not waste them. And the equivalent of one dumper truck of textiles is either landfilled or incinerated every 1 second. So around the world. So we're doing a bad job of that.
I love how passionate you are. You obviously talk about this day in, day out. You work with a lot of interesting people, and you see lots of interesting brands. Is there anyone that you could shout out, or you think is doing something really well, that you think that we should talk to more about and use them as a good example of practice?
I mean, that's my worst question. Thank you for asking me, because I couldn't really ever pick out one. Because are we talking like a multinational public listed company, or are we talking about a designer out of their garage? And there's innovation and challenge to each. So I'm gonna be a politician and not answer the question. If that's all right.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. I think a big criticism or a challenge to this kind of design, which is kind of waste free, or trying to work towards being waste free, is that it's very difficult to scale. We hear this all the time. Do you think that is really true? What do you think about that as a phrase that people tend to use?
What is waste free? I mean, efficiency scales, babe. Let's not. Everybody in this entire world is looking for efficiency. The way you make your coffee in the morning to the way you brush your teeth. I mean, like, time is money. When I'm doing the dishwasher, I'm actually doing my legs. So I'm efficient. Okay, so what I'm saying with that is that, of course, lean production is scalable. Everyone's after that. But I think what the question might be is that how do we make recycling scalable? Because what we need to be doing is we need to join the... I'm going to swear. We need to... we need to join the all of the industry, which is all of the waste. Oh my God, so rude. With the beginning. You need to get the materials from the end back to the beginning, basically. And that has to be scalable. And that's currently not scalable because the waste is in one place, the supply chain is somewhere else. You can't move it over there. There's no investment there. The chemical recycling's there and the buyers are over there.
Yeah. Well, I guess that I know what you're saying. I guess I spoke with the founder of ELV Denim, and so she was saying something that like a lot of criticism she gets is that they're like, oh, but this isn't scalable. And what she's doing is she's using denim that's already in the supply chain and then upcycling it to then stay in use. And so people come to her and are like, oh, but that's not scalable. And she's like, I don't think that's a real big misconception. And so, I just wanted to get your thoughts on.
Well, do you know what? I'm not really that keen on the word scalable.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's such an obvious question. Is it scalable?
Exactly.
Is it more expensive? Well, yeah. We heard it all before. Not everyone wants to be scalable.
Yeah,
what
that's
we
also
need
true.
to be doing is making things replicable in multiple markets. So in the case of upcycling or designing into like post-consumer waste, that needs to be replicable because we've got waste in so many countries around the world. So I know that investors want scalability. I get all of that. And I'm sorry, I'm not even answering a question here. I'm just saying that scalability isn't always the solution because sometimes it's replicability.
Yeah, and it's not always the end goal for everyone, which is really interesting because there was a lady, I don't know if it was in your session, who was from the Philippines and saying that she uses denim. And she's like, oh, I just don't know how I can sell more. And then the answer was, well, you don't need to necessarily. And like by doing that, you're kind of cannibalizing your own
mission.
Yeah.
Well, that's where cross collaboration, cross sector works. The fashion industry shouldn't look only to the fashion industry to take its own waste. We need to be going into sort of hotels, properties, cars, automobiles, as more efficiently said. Textile is across multi-sectors and the fashion industry can lean on other sectors to get rid of its waste. And then the exception of that is, of course, the fashion industry is sourcing a lot of recycled polyester made from plastic bottles. And, it looks good on paper, but it introduces another problem with microfibers. So in that sense, people will argue that the fashion industry should use its own polyester waste and keep it in the fashion industry. So are we here to argue about, the fashion industry must take responsibility for itself and it shouldn't bleed into the automobile industry? I mean, not really. I'm not trying to make that point. I'm trying to say that we need to keep resources in use, no matter how we creatively, commercially decide to do that.
Okay. Well, I also want to end on a positive note. So there is a lot, I think sometimes I get swept up in it and being that, it can feel a little bit bleak sometimes. I talk to a lot of like young buyers who maybe have come from the fashion world and are like, oh, I'm so excited to change the world. And, there's limitations that they're coming against. What advice would you give to someone like that who's maybe a young buyer who's kind of just working for a large institution? They want to enact change. What could they do?
I would say it's the best time ever to really give a beep about this world because we're screaming for it. And actually all businesses at the moment, there's so much change happening everywhere from how we buy, what we buy, how we sell it, that it's a great time to be enthusiastic and intelligent right now and come with solutions. So I think that being a smart problem solver with enthusiasm is the playing field is all yours. Really.
I love that. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Christina. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being part of Source Fashion. It's a pleasure. Hello and welcome back to this very special edition of Honest Not Perfect. We're on site. I'm here with Ruby Webster. Hello. So Ruby's been part of something really special. It's a little bit different. We had a stage called the Fashion Deconstructed Area. The idea behind this is that we want some of our attendees to really understand what goes into making the garments. Often people aren't going to the factories as much these days. We really want people to see what the craft and the work that goes into making some of these textiles. So Ruby was doing a lovely demonstration with a hand loom, and we're really excited to have you here today. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Could you give me a little bit of an intro on who you are, what are you passionate about, and what brought you here today?
Of course. So I'm Ruby Webster, obviously. I'm a textile artist specializing in hand weaving, hand dyeing, and hand spinning. My practice really centers around like the vertical integration of making a fabric. So really starting from the beginning of the cloth making process. So find it locally sourcing sheep's fleece is what I primarily work with. Washing that, because it's often quite smelly when you first get it. Brushing through it, spinning it, weaving it, and just exploring the mindful techniques and these traditions that have been passed down through centuries. I think, it's why I've been so excited to be here today, because I think there's a bit of a disconnect between what people put on their body, what they use for their bedding and what they use for their rugs. And I think it's really important that we understand how those fabrics are made, and how much time and energy and knowledge goes into making fabrics in order to kind of combat the fast fashion industry that we're facing today.
No, it's really lovely, because it was really nice just to see you. It does look very peaceful as well. Peaceful. Yeah, and it looked really lovely to actually see it. You don't get to see like these behind the scenes, and I think especially here in the Western world, you can take it for granted, obviously. So when you're sourcing these materials, like how easy or difficult is it to source these materials locally?
So far, it's been very easy. Almost to the point that I have too much, because people, there's an abundance of British wool that is unused and actually like often goes into, just gets burnt because sheep farmers don't have use for the wool. So I actually have been lucky enough, I haven't had to buy any in the 2 years that I've been working with wool, because people just give it away.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, obviously I'm working on a smaller scale, but yeah.
And so what really drives you behind doing this? I know you've touched a little bit on the disconnect, but what is it that kind of got you interested in this space first?
I think it's actually the community of people that love it. I really found it through, I did an internship, and through that I met lots of different people who were really passionate about plant fibers, natural fibers, and spinning and weaving especially. And I think it's this real need to like share the knowledge. That is knowledge that has been shared and passed down through generations for so long. I mean, it's something I love about weaving is how not only global but generational it is. And I think it's just, I wanted to be part of that lineage of makers.
I think that's really nice. It's it's a lost art maybe, that you don't want it to be lost.
Exactly, it is. I think people totally feel like there was a time when every woman and child was spinning as they walked, and that was like one of the only jobs for them at a point. So it's like, which had its pros and cons, of course. Of course. I think it's exciting to be creating in the same way that people have for thousands of centuries. I mean, the first piece of fiber that they've found, they still have, is 34,000 years old.
Wow. Okay.
We've been weaving for forever.
That's mad. And so what was your journey into kind of learning this craft? Like, how did you start? Like, what's your kind of background into kind of getting into it?
So I went to uni. I did a textiles degree in Manchester. And I found weaving there, and I just it was love at first sight. Really, I truly fell in love with weaving. And then, as I said, I did this internship, which led me to this incredible group of people. There's these two women called they're called Contemporary Hempery. And they grow hemp for textiles, and they run this festival where all these people come and everyone is weaving, everyone is spinning. You pick the hemp for them, and then they show you how they process that, which takes months. So I think I found it at uni, but I think it was the people I discovered afterwards that really has made me so excited to be part of this.
And I just think like working with your hands must be so fulfilling, and like seeing the end product at the end.
It's so gratifying. Like I start with this like smelly sheet piece, and I end up with like something beautiful.
It's wonderful.
And you know, it can be practical or it can be art, but I think I've always found that like the final product is really exciting, but it's the process. It's the process that like gets me. I just love that making, and then you know you finish one stage and you're on to the next, and you can only spin once you've brushed through the fleece, and it's lovely.
And what's your? I know you're kind of at the start of your career. I'd say you've obviously already achieved a lot. What's your what's your kind of goal at the end of this, maybe?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
Well, I'm currently fixing up 2 looms and a spinning wheel, giving them a bit of TLC. But I would love to run lots of workshops.
That'd be amazing.
Today has been so gorgeous to be able to show people and teach people what I love so much. And the response has been great. People are so excited to get weaving. So I'd love to run some more workshops. And also, I just want to keep making. I want to make art pieces, but I also think there's something really important about making them have a practical use. So I wove this dress I'm wearing today. I would love to make some more dresses. I've got my fingers dipped in some pies.
Nice.
I'm speaking. I've got someone who's a curator who's going to put me in her exhibition.
Oh, amazing.
So nice things.
Exciting projects.
Exactly.
So you're probably the target demographic for a lot of our retailers that attend our show, right? And what I'm seeing with my peer group, I'm a little bit older than you, quite a lot older than you, and a lot of my peer group, they have this intention and the idea that they want to, buy ethically, they want to be a bit more sustainable, but I think sometimes that doesn't always translate very well into action for lots of different reasons. And I guess I wanted to see your thoughts on that. Maybe obviously you're kind of in a world where people are maybe doing that a little bit more, but what are your thoughts on where that disconnect lies and why that's happening?
I think it's convenience. I think I think it, fast fashion, or at least fashion that is not maybe handmade or made with natural materials, it's not as convenient, it's not as fast, and it's not as cheap. And I think there's a reality to the world we live in where people can't afford really expensive clothing that's been completely handmade. I think that's why I would love to be able to create stuff that's on a sliding scale as well, for affordability. But I think it's about the ease of getting access to this stuff.
I think you're right, and I think so much of how clothes used to be made, a bit more kind of made to order. It wouldn't be that unusual to wait a couple of weeks or even longer for some jeans, let's say. But now, because everything is so fast, it's just the way that the world is going. It's obviously
expect it.
Exactly. And fashion is an industry that's immune to the fastness of the world and the fast-pacedness. So you recently graduated. I'm quite curious about what fashion education looks like. How much is being talked about ethics and sustainability? How many of your peers were interested in that side of things? It's just more for my curiosity because I'm quite ignorant to that side of things.
I think it was a huge part of my course. I mean, I did a textiles course, which I think can be different from fashion. It was talked about a lot, but I think to put it into practice was a decision you had to make as a student yourself. Most of us were definitely conscious of being sustainable and ethical with the production of our work. And in a way, it doesn't get more sustainable than one person making one piece of work. And often we were using dead stock yarn.
Right. Okay.
We had a shop nearby the uni. Well, it was about a half an hour drive, but we'd all bundle into the car, and it was this incredible shop that had all of this dead stock yarn. So it was make a day of it.
Oh, nice.
There's also a reality to, I think there can be some greenwashing in education, and I think a lot of courses I've heard about anyway, unfortunately, it's we use the word sustainability, but it's not necessarily practiced.
Yeah, I think that's everywhere, isn't it? A little bit. It's trying to move it from just being a tick box, to actually, really being something meaningful.
And so it's hard.
It's a lot of
stuff. I'm not saying it's an easy thing to be convenient. And again, convenience is so easy to not be sustainable. But it's doable and it's more fun.
No, it's great. It's so lovely to see you here, and you've got so many exciting projects lined up. But what are you most looking forward to for 2026?
Oh, good question. I'm most looking forward to getting on the looms that I've been fixing up.
Okay, nice. How long does that take? Is it quite a...
Well, the looms I've got, they're 2 big looms, 1.3 meters by 1.3 meters. And they are these old looms from the 70s.
Wow.
And I can't find anything about them online.
Okay.
There's one blog about them from 2012.
Oh my gosh.
Other than that,
how did you track it down?
The looms?
Yeah.
I was given them.
Oh,
I was given them by someone. I think they were sadly, there's quite a few textile courses that are shutting down. So it was a shutting down of a course, and they were giving away the looms. So.
Oh my God, that's so wonderful that you can get something from the 70s and like rejuvenate it and like keep it going.
It's so exciting.
Yeah.
And this is why it's also so great. Is like, I mean, I have a spinning wheel from the 80s as well.
Yeah.
And it's like, I love thinking about all of the people that might have
the
used
history.
That. The history is so good. And I'm now just the next one on the list.
Yeah.
And someone will have it after me.
Yeah.
You know, most looms and spinning wheels are made of wood, quality wood. So they last.
Yeah.
You know, they last for a long time. And
wow, amazing.
Keep weaving.
Oh, well, Ruby, thank you so much for being here. It's been really lovely to have you and to see some of the work you're doing, but thanks for being part of Source Fashion.
Thanks so much for having me.